Hello, brothers and sisters. It's a new week, and we are happy to introduce you to our show titled Speak of Africa. There's a whole lot of news we have for you, but before we begin, we want to say thank you to our viewers. If this is the first time you're viewing Speak of Africa, we thank you very much, and we're asking you to subscribe. Click on the button to subscribe because when you subscribe, you make sure that you do not miss any of our new videos. We upload a new video almost every week, and we want to make sure that you get this video. For those who have already subscribed to this show, we say we appreciate your confidence and your trust, and we are thanking you for subscribing. We are also thanking those who really share stories with us because we cannot do it without you. We started this show because we wanted to create a forum, a platform so that our people can express themselves. There's a whole lot of dictatorship in Africa. Wherever you turn, it looks like the freedom movement is regressing. We are losing positions. Democracy is faltering in all of Africa. When you look at it, some of the progress that was done a few years ago, we have lost actually a whole lot of ground, and that's not good. So we have a whole lot to share with you. When you look at the democratic experiment in Africa, how is it doing? It's not doing too well because wherever you turn, democracy is being challenged. Africans give the impression that they don't just like democracy. They like the big man rule. One guy wants to break all the institutions of the country, then he rules alone. And that's why things are not really moving on well in a lot of countries in Africa. There are so many countries we want to mention today. There are so many of them, and we want to have a good show. We're not going to take a lot of your time. We want to still keep the show very brief, but we're going to mention many countries so that you're going to know the problems we are facing with the democratic experiment. And we'll start with the democratic experiment after we tell you that in the U.S., where we live, there was a deadly tornado in Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. We feel sorry and we sympathize with everybody who lost property, who lost family members. Our prayers are with them, and we feel sorry for what has happened to them. So then we also sympathize with the folks who are in Ukraine, who are suffering the onslaught of Russia. So this is not good, but we are happy because the people of Ukraine are fighting back to take back their country. And this is what we expect Africans to do. We expect Africans to fight back to take back their motherland from these dictators. We'll start by going to Ambazonia. In Ambazonia, you're going to see that what we're really experiencing is a country that has been taken over by La République du Cameroun. And in this part of the world, November 6th, today, Mr. Paul Biya celebrates the 40th anniversary of his accession to political power. Amadou Ahijo resigned and Biya took over from Amadou Ahijo. When he took over, it was like a new deal. People felt like, wow, we're going to breathe a sigh of relief. Biya is going to bring new change. In fact, some of the slogans that Mr. Biya introduced, l'ouverture, we're going to come openness, la rigueur, we're going to have rigor, morality, all the themes that sounded good in the ears of a lot of people. But after 40 years, it looks like the people have just been having a nightmare. It's a very, very bad dream. So what are they really celebrating? It is really sad when you look at what is happening in La République du Cameroun. The people are not really happy. Some of them are saying for more than 40 years, they've known no other leader but Mr. Biya. And how has he been able to stay in power for 40 years? And that's a question a lot of international journalists have been asking. The answer is plain and simple. He's a guy who has read Machiavelli's book titled The Prince, how you can stay in power by instilling fear or love among people. So usually he uses fear as the most part, because according to Machiavelli, the prince, this is how a prince can occupy his principality and monopolize power and neutralize or crush his rivals. which is basically, it looks like Mr. Paul Biya has spent time reading this book. And you also see what is happening in La République du Cameroon. It's like William Shakespeare's As You Like It. So you see the man in 7 ages. You see Mr. Biya as a child, now to an aged person. So you see the 7 ages of man. We're not going to go into the details because of time, but you know that there is nothing there to celebrate. A lot of the sycophants are really celebrating because they know what they benefit from the regime. But your average Cameroonian is complaining because they feel like this regime has not brought them anything but pain and suffering and death. Then, at the same time, it looks like Mr. Biya is making plans to let his son, Frank Biya, succeed him. In fact, this morning, you guys sent us a lot of videos of Frank Biya in North Cameroon. He was being received by some of the sycophants of the Biya regime, those people who benefit from the Biya system. You think that Frank Biya is very, very popular in that part of the world. But the truth about it is, the Biya system has all these sycophant black legs. They pay the money, then you see the protection. You can even see the bee all over Frank Biya. So the guy cannot even walk freely. So if you were a good guy in a free country, he'll be able to move without a lot of military presence. But you see the bee everywhere. It's like a war zone. So when you look at this video, you start laughing. And then there's a guy also in the north who really made a video and he sent this to us. This video is just like the voice of the northern people. Since Ahidjo left the presidency of Cameroon in 1982, these people in the north have been marginalized. Those in the extreme north, Maroua, Garoua, Ngaoundéré, the 3 capitals of the northern regions, they have been marginalized and the people are complaining. So the guy in this video is really expressing the displeasure of the people in the north. And he's telling the world that, listen, they're not going to deceive us again. So it is up to you guys to know what to do. The Ambazonians have already made a choice. Take up arms to fight against a sea of troubles. Are the people in North Cameroon going to do the same? We know these guys are Muslims and they always believe in their mission. So are they going to take up arms the way Ambazonians have done? It remains to be seen. And the same Biya regime, it looks like they are making plans to get rid of Maurice Kamto because everything is being teleguided from Paris. Emmanuel Macron has already decided that he is okay with the idea of Frank Biya succeeding his father. So most of the other guys who were pretending to get into power, they are seeing that the window is almost being shut. The door has been shut already. The window is narrowly being shut and they may not have any chances to get into power. So they are making all kind of games. They are scheming, but what is going to happen? We don't think they can really do much. So the only way they can get power is just like what Dieudonné Somba says. You have to muscle the military power to fight. Just talking is not going to make a difference, okay? Next, we'll look at what is happening in Ambazonia because the guys continue with kidnapping. Last week, we talked to you about the pain that the kidnapping is causing to the people on the ground. A lot of pain. Even this week, so many people call us to report the kidnapping of their relatives. Some of them were in for the struggle. When Sissoko began this struggle, when he came to the United States, there was so much fanfare. We have so many images and pictures for you to see. The people had hope. It was just like the train of the revolution was leaving the station and everybody wanted to get on this train. But now this train has been hijacked by a bunch of businessmen. They have guns. They call themselves freedom fighters, but they're not freedom fighters. They are kidnapping people for ransom, which is not what a revolution should be. And that's what is really creating a whole lot of tension. 2 days ago, we got information that 9 the northwest region. So this is not good. So is this the way you should run a revolution? We don't think so. But this is what happens because the central government of Mr. Paul Biya has not been willing to give an inch. So these people have become desperate. Initially, they were getting a lot of money from the diaspora, But there is donor fatigue in the diaspora. So the people now have resorted to kidnapping as the only way to raise money and live a better lifestyle. So some of them now, instead of fighting the revolution, they are fighting for survival. They just want to eat and survive. And that's the sad part of the revolution. So we begin to look at the way things are unfolding in Cameroon. Is Mr. BIYA going to stay there? Is he going to run again next time? We doubt it, because his health is not really permitting him. But it looks like he has decided that his son, Frank, would definitely take over from him. And we've shown those signs to you. So we think you can celebrate November 6th, the day Mr. BIYA came to power. It's up to you. But the world is just laughing because Cameroon has lost any form of rights, human rights, you could tell that they possess. What you have is a murderous dictatorship. Next, we'll move to Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso has been facing a problem with jihadists. This is what happens when there's the absence of good governance. Bad governance is just like a field with weeds. Okay, it brings the negative in people. People feel like they have to take the laws into their own hands. And that's what has happened in Burkina Faso. Now President Ibrahim Traoré has come in. He has really promised to be more militant to fight these jihadists. Is he going to succeed? He just went to Mali on an official visit. I'm sure he wanted to get some advice from Assimi Goïta of Mali. Next, we'll move to Congo DRC. Last week, we told you about the problem in the east of Congo, like areas like Goma, Kivu. When you look at the eastern side, there's been a whole lot of conflict because of many rebel groups. In fact, the most popular of the rebel group is M23, M23, as they say in French. So they have been wreaking havoc on government forces and the people have been complaining. So it looks like Rwanda has decided to work with the foreign minister of the Congo DRC to ease the tension, because the tension has been very, very high. People have just been afraid that maybe Congo, DRC, and Rwanda may have to go to war because of the M23. But what is going to happen? Is Rwanda really serious about making peace? We doubt it, because Rwanda is benefiting a whole lot from the conflict in east of Congo. So they are benefiting. So why should they give this up? So it benefits Rwanda when this conflict is going on. So let's be honest, okay? Then the Congolese government is asking the youth to rally and fight. But the youth needs military training. The guys in Rwanda and the M23, they are hardened, they are war hardened. So if you're going to recruit young people in Congo to fight, it's like you're just going to send them to an early grave. It's like Putin, Vladimir Putin, sending young recruits from Russia to go and fight in Ukraine without any military training and without the right weapons. So that's really sad. Next, we take you to Eritrea. There's been conflict in the Horn of Africa, especially the conflict in Ethiopia. Since the death of Meles Zenawi, the former leader of Ethiopia, after Abiy Ahmed came, there has been conflict. And you have to understand, the people from the Tigray region were really benefiting during the time of Meles Zenawi. Now, with the presence of Abiy Ahmed, they feel like they have lost power and they want to fight to get this power back. Then there are many other issues like interference from Eritrea in the conflict in Ethiopia. So President Obasanjo and President Uhuru Kenyatta and other leaders have tried to broker a peace in South Africa among the various forces, especially the government forces and the rebel forces of Ethiopia. Is the truce going to hold? Even if the truce is going to hold with suspect, there are still a lot of issues looming that have to be resolved. Will the two parties, the two warring parties, allow these issues to be resolved so that peace can return for a long time? It remains to be seen. Next, we'll take you to Ghana. Ghana is a country we love. The first time we looked at Ghana was when Nana Akufo-Addo came to power. He was receiving Emmanuel Macron. he made a speech where he spoke of self-reliance, and we were really impressed with his speech. But so far, we've realized that he's just a guy who speaks. He speaks well, but his talk is cheap. Now, Ghana is facing issues with inflation. The same leader who was talking against the International Monetary Fund now wants a bailout from the International Monetary Fund. And the people now went into the street to protest because there's a lot of hardship, there's worries of inflation, people cannot really buy food at a cheaper price, so the people of Ghana are suffering. Now they even want Nana Akufo-Addo to resign. How is this going to end? Well, it remains to be seen. We're going to update you in our next video.
Do you need tax preparation services? We can help. Contact PJ Tax Service, America's only full-time income tax preparers. Like the good old doctor, we do not close our doors after April 15th. In fact, we stay open all year round in order to serve you. We are located at 11207A, Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Make an appointment today with Prince Ojong, your tax expert. Call 240-350-1131 or visit us on the web at www.pjtaxservice.com.
We move now to Guinea. In Guinea, Mamadi Doumbouya has been in power. Last week, we told you about his trip to Sierra Leone. But so far, what is happening in this country now is instead of focusing on moving this country forward, Mamadi Doumbouya seems to be stuck in trying to settle old scores. He claims he's setting up a kangaroo court justice for the people who have looted the country, especially the former president, Alassane Conte. He wants to punish him and his family and ministers who have benefited from that regime. But we think this is a waste of time. Even putting this on trial is a waste of time. The people have suffered a lot. Why not focus on the transition so that the people can take power, the civilians can rule? But it looks like Mamadi Doumbouya has another plan. He's playing games. He's going to stay in power for a while, make enough money before anybody kicks him out. So that's what is happening in Guinea. Next, we'll move to Libya. Libya is a country that you guys have asked us to talk about Libya again today. Yes, we're going to talk about Libya. Libya is a country that is an Arab country, but Muammar Gaddafi, the former leader who was killed in a revolution, was a good guy. Even though the Western guy don't like him, he was a dictator, but he's one of those things I would call a good dictator because he cared about his people. The money that he made from oil, he did not put it in bank accounts like the other stupid African leaders. Gaddafi made it in such a way that the citizens benefited from the oil wealth of his country, which is unique in Africa. No other African leader has done that. So when you look at Gaddafi, he did so much, and we understand that he basically financed the creation of the African Union, especially when the organization was changing from OAU to AU. Gaddafi financed it principally, okay? And people are really worried that because he was trying to create a currency for Africa, because Africa will never be strong if Africa doesn't have its own currency. Some African countries have their own currencies, but they don't know what it means to have a currency or how to manage it. Because you require a little bit of knowledge of economics to understand how to use these currencies, okay? So with Libya, we just say we remember Gaddafi, and we're telling you that we've not forgotten your hero Gaddafi. And we're telling you that we want the world to know that he did a lot of good things. It's not just the madman people in the West claim he was. That's just propaganda. He had a lot of good ideas. It's true he was a dictator, but he was a good dictator. Okay? I know one of my former professors, George Ayite, used to say there's no such thing as a good dictator. But at least if a dictator is doing the good things, is giving his people a better standard of living, the people are living well, then he's a good guy. Okay? So let's just keep things at that level. Mali. We witnessed a very big protest in Mali over blasphemous comments on social media. over 1 million people were out in the streets protesting because somebody has insulted the prophet and the Islamic religion. We think this should not happen again, because each time people do this, they create a lot of furor. Sometimes they make people angry and they start killing other people. So it should not really be happening. So we are telling our people, let's respect each other's religion. I'm a Christian, but I respect Muslims because I know that we are all brothers and sisters. Okay? Next, we move now to Nigeria. Nigeria is where we really have to deal with the issue of the currency. Nigeria has their own currency, which is a naira. This is a good thing. But interestingly, the problem is the government of Nigeria does not really understand how to manage this currency. As a result, the naira is weak vis-a-vis other currencies. Take, for example, like the dollar. How many nairas do you need to exchange with a dollar? Maybe 438 or more, right? Look at the euro. How many euros do you need to exchange with a dollar? Probably they're on parity. So that a good currency needs to be strong. A currency is not just paper. So we don't really understand the economics that Buhari is reading. When you have a currency, the currency needs to be backed by the wealth of that country. And last time we talked to you about the balance of trade and the balance of payments. So when you have a currency, you want to make sure that your balance of trade is positive. Your balance of payments is positive. You are in the green. But when you borrow, you have an economy that is too import-oriented. You are always importing too much. You import more than you export. That makes your currency weak. When you pay less than your expenses, that's not good for your currency. So those are the things that the Buhari regime needs to understand. Recently, we're told that the central bank was trying to redesign the naira. What a foolish move. Even the Nigerian Minister of Finance said this was a wrong move. But why were they redesigning the naira, thinking that this would stave off inflation? What kind of economics are you reading? The Central Bank of Nigeria should know better. Redesigning the currency will not really help the inflationary pressures in the country. And I'm sure they've seen it themselves. Then the overseer of Redeemer Church, Enoch Adeboye, came out also and spoke about this. So when you look at this, so at least he even understands economics. He's a pastor, but he understands economics. Then you have people who should have studied economics and they are running the economy of Nigeria and they don't have any clue on economic principles. We call that economic 101. I remember back in my school days, I read Lawal. Lawal wrote a book in economics, O-level and A-level economics. Those are the books that we read in economics. And he put together all these ideas, how an economy operates. And I think people in government should be people who have read some of these books. Then another sad story in Nigeria is, you guys have heard about Hush Puppy, right? The celebrity guy on Instagram. We hear he has been sentenced in the US. I think since 2020, he was arrested in Dubai, then was transferred to the US for trial. And they just tried him and they sentenced him to 11 years in prison for a lot of financial crimes. So this is not good. And the good thing about it is, in the end, he really confessed that he was really sorry for his crimes and he apologized to his family for letting them down. And we think that's good enough.
Now more. .com.
Now we go to Senegal. Senegal is Macky Sall's country. We are also seeing that in this country, we are losing ground on democracy. Ousmane Sonko, the opposition leader, is being brutalized by Macky Sall. Why? because Macky Sall doesn't want him to be president. Is this a good thing? This is what creates problems in Africa. Tomorrow, when there is jihadist activity, it's because you have this one man who thinks he can rule the country alone. Nobody else can rule the country. He is the only one who should be able to rule. That's what creates problems. The other day, we even saw a video of Macky Sall looking like a man of the people. He was in an SUV, and the people were talking to him. He was sitting in the SUV with his wife, and the citizens were talking to him. You think this is a freedom-loving president. That's just a farce. We'll take you now to Somalia. Somalia, we've had most of these conflicts. The Al-Shabaab, which stands for the youth, who are fighting. But on a positive note, we want to draw your attention to what the diaspora from Somalia, what they are doing in Minnesota. We hear the population of Somalians in Minnesota is big, but the people are active. They are voting. They are voting in the American midterm elections. What about other Africans? We're encouraging you to vote also, just the way the Somalians are doing in Minnesota. Please do that. Then, of course, we take you to Tanzania. Before we started taping our show today, news got to us that a plane crashed in Lake Tanganyika. Okay? So that you can even see the plane on the lake. So this was sad, and people were sitting around the tail of the plane. We feel sorry for this tragedy. Then finally, we take you to Zimbabwe. The economy of Zimbabwe is really having a tough time. Even Emmanuel Mnangagwa has not been able to do much. But this week, we're told that he's trying to lure foreign investors to his country by promising them citizenship. If you bring money to invest in Zimbabwe, we'll give you the citizenship of Zimbabwe. Is that a good move? It remains for the people of Zimbabwe to speak. We've said it to you. Take it and tell us what you think. But before we end our show, we're going to let you know that we're creating a lot of classes and courses for income tax preparers. Some of you have started calling us already that you want to train, and we're going to be training a lot of preparers. In January, you're going to be very busy with the tax season. It will be an opportunity for you to make money. So if you are in accounting or you think you want to learn how to prepare taxes, contact us. We are forming the classes. They're going to begin in about a week. So don't be left out. Come to the classes. Call us 240-350-1131, and we'll give you more information on how to participate. So don't forget, the classes are starting soon. It will be an opportunity for you to make some money from January to April. Please take advantage of this opportunity. Bye-bye.
Medical practice software is too old. Indeed, all the programs are built on MUMPS, technology of the 1950s, and the programs cost too much money. Epic and Cerner cost billions of dollars. Meditech costs thousands of dollars too. In fact, that's why we created AlexiaHTC.com, a new and free EMR/EHR for doctors. AlexiaHTC.com is built for HIPAA. Yes, magical one-screen technology, ease of use, quick charting, amazing e-prescribing, tight labs integration, multi-office difference, because we believe doctors and patients need a break today. Be the first to test drive AlexiaHTC.com. You have nothing to lose, you have everything to gain. Act now. Call 240-350-1131. Alexia Care Corporation at AlexiaHTC.com.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.